side and the planetary, and I've been working around those ideas as well. I don't want to sound like I'm not, but I just want to say I'm a little concerned that there's an overemphasis on law when we don't actually have the social capacity to put the laws into place. And, you know, there are laws out there that are meant to be protecting nature, protecting people. And for example, you know, Iraq and all of the burning oil fields in Iraq, I mean, it hasn't really protected the natural world in times of war, the law on ecocide. So, I mean, although I think that this is an important strategy, I think that as social movements, we have to keep, you know, we have to really build up the educational capacities for people to become able to put these types of practices and these types of laws into effect. Because at the moment, just because we have a law, it doesn't mean it's going to actually sort things out. And so so my question is like, what are people doing in the build-up to Rio? Who's actually going, and what are the sort of timelines in the next few months, and so we can just sort of think about how we can participate, because I know that the next teach-in next month will be a way of social movements bringing this forward, and if we could know what you're all doing, then that would be helpful.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Thanks for that. So in terms of timelines and how people can get involved, can someone comment on that last question?
I mean, personally, Rio is bound to be a failure. We know that in advance. The more we say the kind of things that it should be doing, the better the position we're in to expose the reality of how power operates. I mean, that's the way I see it. And the closer we might get to the point where people realise only a mass mobilisation that recognises you actually have to turn this very topsy-turvy world upside down again to kind of end neoliberalism, which is insane. And Capitalism versus the Climate by Naomi Klein, by the way, anyone who hasn't read that, it's 10,000 words, but it's really, really, really worth it. I think it covers a lot of the bases. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm going to take two more questions, unfortunately, because we can't really overrun by very long. I said I'd do Henrietta next, and then I'll do...
Sorry, does no one else on the panel have anything to say to Joan's question? Did you give us any list of what we can do?
Go ahead. No.
Well, the next steps are, I suppose, they're having lots of informal conversations in New York at the moment on this zero draft text, which is, I think, 19 pages long. They've had a go in January at the front end, the kind of big framing bit of the text, and then in March the governments are getting together over just 2 days to have a go at the substantive bits on institutional frameworks for sustainable development. I'm not sure if they're doing green economy this time or not. And so those are kind of, you know, if you can get a UN pass and go along, then you can have opportunities to nobble people and so on, but that's up there in the United Nations. And then there are all sorts of other things going on. In 1992, there was a whole process to develop people's treaties on the margins of the formal UN conference, and then I can't remember what it's called, but there's an initiative like that underway which is taking place via the internet, with lots of clusters of groups getting together to kind of negotiate the draft texts from around the world that people want. I could certainly make sure that we get that URL to you, because that might be something that's appropriate for Occupy to get involved in. New Economics Foundation was thinking of having I don't know where they've got to, but they were thinking of working with others to have a festival of sustainability at the same time as the Rio Earth Summit across the United Kingdom. And if that gets off the ground, and I'm sure it will do in some shape or form, then that would offer all sorts of opportunities to think about, you know, our role and the signals that we give to our elected representatives, and all of the kind of the bigger cultural and social underpinnings that can make legal change lasting, to answer your question as well, because I agree absolutely, if the law comes in really far ahead of our cultural or social norms, then it's not going to be stable. So, you know, I do see that law can play a role in leading to the right places, but unless we subsequently come up behind with the processes of social and cultural transformation that are needed. It will be unstable and it won't be implemented in practice. And of course, we all as individuals as well as collectives have a responsibility there. Sorry, I can wrap them both in.
That's fine, thank you. Right, we are sort of really running